Are you a driven career man whose focus is your career, your business, and providing for your family? That's exactly where this gentleman found himself, and he writes, I'm a driven career man. How do I create a schedule that honors my wife and helps support her while also accomplishing my career goals? First of all, the fact that you're even asking this question shows that there's honor involved in your relationship. And my hat, if I was wearing one, is off to you. Proud of you for even asking that question. At the same time, the fact that you're showing that kind of humility, I know that you'll have the humility to handle this answer. Number one, why are you driving so hard and so fast for that career? What is driving you? Is it money that's driving you? Are you running from something or running towards something? I really love the fact that you asked the question, how can you still honor your wife and yet still accomplish your goals? You see, it sounds like you're of that personality that is like super driven, challenge oriented, super focused, gotta get things done fast. Like, for example, if inside your company there's a project that needs to be done and the project requires you to do the project at the top of the mountain, you run before you ever look or ask what kind of supplies that you might be needing. You run before you even find out which mountain is the one that you're supposed to go to the top with. You're just already out the door. If that is your personality, we understand exactly where it is that you're coming from. And sometimes it can be very frustrating if you have to slow down and grab a couple of details. Well, your wife is a very important detail, no question. And the fact is if you want her behind you 100%, all that she needs to know is that she is your highest human priority. What does that require? That requires quality time with her. Not always quantity time, because you probably drive her crazy and she probably drives you crazy from time to time. But the fact is that it's important for both of you to have something to work on that is your own. But it's when that thing becomes a higher priority in your heart and in your mind and in your soul, when that becomes a higher priority and it is always on your mind and you're thinking about it constantly, this is when the wife feels like she's the other woman. Well, let's just say this, that the business is the other woman. I can tell you from my perspective, I wanted to throw a gallon of water on top of my husband's computer. I wanted to pick that MacBook wench and toss her into the pool. So many times when Hans and I were learning how to be married people who didn't strive and contend with each other. I know what it feels like to feel like I'm being cheated on by an inanimate object. I know what it feels like to ask the question again and again, to have it rise up in my heart. Is there something wrong with me? Am I not captivating enough that I can even have 5 minutes of his time where he's not on the phone or thinking about something else or just always having business on his mind? And you can see it. See, I want you to ask this question of your wife, that when she looks into your eyes, does she have your full attention? Because sometimes that's all she needs. Or does she see the list of 25 things that didn't get done today that need to get done tonight? Can she see that something else has risen up and is your number one focus other than her? It's an important question to ask her, because if she is your number one human priority, then that career is going to be in its perfect slot. And when it's in its perfect slot, guess what? This is when it is easy. This is when it builds bigger. This is when it flourishes like crazy. I can tell you from personal experience, friend. There was a time and season of my life in my very early days where I was like, I ate, I slept, I drank, everything business. My whole focus was that, even though I had a couple of kids and I had a husband, but man, 24/7, this brain was thinking about nothing but business, and it about destroyed my marriage. And when I look back and think about how quick I was willing to give it all up, that would have been the biggest mistake of my life. Hans is my absolute most favorite person on earth today. My kids are next to him in that. My most favorite thing to do is to be with them. Whereas 25 years ago, all I cared about was money. All I cared about was business. And it almost destroyed my life, almost took my life, literally. I became suicidal in it. And that drive was killing me and killing my family. And so how do you go from there to here? My priorities had to shift. I was running from being a mom. And I was running from the failure in a marriage. And I just figured that if I could just make a lot of money and I could be successful in business, well, then it wouldn't matter all those other things. But really, at the end of the day, there was this gnawing inside of me that the greatest challenge of all challenges was to succeed in marriage. The greatest challenge of all challenges was to be the parents that I didn't have. The greatest challenge of all challenges that was far bigger than money, far more important than a career, far more important than a business reputation, was the legacy that I would be leaving behind. Would I create workaholics and children who neglected their families? Or would I raise a family that loved family and cared about things that were much more important than a career and money? Well, I'm happy to say that so far, we got 5 kids who care about family, that care about each other and work hard to work that commitment out with each other. And so, friend, I just want you to evaluate. What are you running from, or what are you running to? Is your career in the right position? Because when I totally changed my hours and I made my family my number one focus, I dropped my hours from 100 hours a week down to 20 and tripled my income. It is from that point on that we made millions and millions of dollars. The easiest money we've ever made is when our priorities have been in line. The hardest money you will ever earn is when your priorities are out of whack. So I challenge you right now. Think about it. Ask yourself those questions. Reevaluate. Adjust those priorities. And as you do that, guess what? This is when favor falls straight out of heaven on your life, and you will close the easiest deals. You will have the greatest fun within the confines of healthy time, because the real healthy time is happening with the family. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.